Hello, residents of Meepletown, and welcome to Humbleburg. Humbleburg is a nice place where there's lots of green space, lots of stuff going on
is a nice place.
in our town. But look, City Council dropped all zoning laws, and they're letting anybody come in and move in all their buildings.
Just like
which
Mark.
actually hits really close to home living in Nashville, Tennessee. Let's get to the table and check out Magnate, the first city.
Whew, that is a heck of a box there.
That is
I
quite
got a
the
workout
box.
lifting that bad boy up.
There's nothing in there. Look at that.
Stop
There's no workout there.
Stop telling me what's out our secrets.
All right, is that good? Is that lined up well?
It was perfect until
Yeah,
you jacked it way. That wasn't even close.
It's still off. It's actually
Okay, there
we go. That's
there.
close. Okay,
Good enough.
all right. We're going to be building up. We're going to be building up the suburbs of this of the city, right?
Absolutely.
That's what we're gonna be-
Exciting. We got this city up here, and baby, we are.
That's right.
We're gonna be spending cash and going crazy.
That's exactly right. We've got the city going on here. We're going to be taking actions to buy up land. When we buy up the land, we're going to be building buildings on them, which are going to give us. Well, we'll be able to put tenants in those buildings and get money, and that's the purpose of the entire game, is to have the most money
right.
when the crash happens, because it's inevitably going to happen. Prices are going to rise. Market eventually is
It's going to crash. The bubble's going to pop. It's going to burst, baby.
And we want to have sold everything off, get as much money as we can, and sell everything off before that crash happens, because we'll make a lot less money. A lot less money.
We got to buy this land low. We got to
crash
develop
happens.
this land. We got to sell it high, baby. That's
right.
the whole game.
That's right.
Buy low, sell high, develop it.
That's exactly right. So on this game, you've got your round tracker over here. So I'm going to kind of show you. You've got your city here. We're not going to do anything inside this city center. Everything we do is going to be outside, but this will help determine how. Are you all right?
I just want to play with this toy.
It's going to help us determine our tenants that we can get into our buildings. We've got the round tracker here, and we start off first with our turn order, and we're going to bid for turn order.
All right. I'm sorry. That guy was wrecking
This
the
is
city.
the first player marker. So
That guy was wrecking the city.
first player marker means that I will start the bid. Normally, you'll pass this to the next player.
Oh, wow.
but
You get to
skip
start
that
the bid. Interesting.
Step for the first round. And looking out here, I'll explain once we get there, but I'm just going to kind of glance at the board and think, is there anything that's going to really benefit me? And I think so, probably, yes. So I'm going to bid, maybe not. There's not a ton of great...
There's plenty of choices.
Oh, there's lots of choices, but maybe not what I want. I'll go ahead and start the bid off at $100,000. We'd start off with $2 million.
Just take it for 100.
Okay.
Just take it for 100.
All right.
Just go.
I didn't want it. There we go. You're just passing. So John passes, and then we move this thing over here, which we're going to...
You sounded like I passed.
You passed. John passes. It's a sad day. This is where we're going to attract our tenants. We don't have any buildings or anything right now, so we're not going to worry about that. Now we're going to go straight to the action phase. Now, the action phase, everything's going to be listed really well, by the way. You've got these 2 player aid cards, and everything's listed really well on here, all the player actions. I'll explain what those are briefly, but you can buy one of these land spots that has the for sale sign on it at this market price. So right now we start off at $300,000 if I want to buy a plot. I can even buy a plot that's not for sale, but I'm going to have to spend double the amount that it is listed. So we might not want to do that right off the bat.
Yep.
You can build, you can get advertising tokens, you can consult, which is just giving you the money right here, or you can sell. But basically right now, either we're going to consult and take money, or we're going to buy different land plots. I probably should have looked at the board instead of letting John just
I know what I want, but we'll see what happens.
Let's
see if
what
I
we
can
got
get her.
here. There's some good options over there. I kind of like that spot right there. What you're looking for are these symbols. I don't know if you can see these really well, but you've got the home symbols, you've got retail industry, and office symbols. If they're pointing up, that means your likelihood of getting tenants in those locations is better than normal. So I'm going to go ahead and buy a plot of land. This will be my first action. We're each going to take 3 actions per round.
I know what you
Here's
want.
my
I know what you're going to grab.
$300,000. You don't.
Yes, I do. You're going to grab that one.
That's right. That is exactly right.
Because here, Dean's going to have a lot of options because it's going to make it easier to get shopping because it's anything that's adjacent, even that diagonal adjacent, or industry or office space.
That's right.
So really solid. Now, you don't want to build homes next to airports. It's going to be harder to attract people.
That's right. And so the negative of me putting that there is homes are an easy thing to build. They're pretty cheap. It's $400,000. We have enough money right off the bat to get that money, to get that building in there. to get the building, and I won't be able to do that because I don't have the money.
I'm gonna
to
spend
do that.
$300 to go over here. I'm gonna get to some options for shopping or industry.
All right, there we go. We're probably going to do the exact same thing then. I'm going to move on to my second action. Now, if we're looking at building, this card shows you the cost of the buildings.
This way
there you
you're
go.
talking.
So it's going to show you the cost of the buildings and then how many tenants that you can fit in there. If I buy, for example, a home that's going to cost me $400,000 and I can only fit one tenant in there. However, if I get an apartment building, which is a type of green building, it's going to cost me a lot more, but I can fit more tenants in there. But what I'm looking at is over there thinking about, hey, what can I afford? Well, I have, and John knows this, you keep everything secret, but at the beginning, you're going to know what each other has. So right now, I've got $1,600,000. Now, here's what I could do. I could build a retail unit, which is going to allow me to, it's going to cost $1.2 million, but I can fit 2 tenants in there. And the retail tenants each have 1 population apiece, which is nice. However, I'm kind of thinking, I'm thinking big, John. I'm thinking I want something huge in there. So I'm going to
Edge.
Yeah, let's just risk this a little bit. How about that? I'm going to go ahead and take what's the action called? It is called the consult action, and I'm going to take $300,000 from the bank. Is my second action.
Interesting.
I'm looking at building an office building is why I'm doing that.
You're going big or off the rip?
Right off the rip.
All right, I'm going to actually, instead of that, I'm going to go ahead and snake up a little more property while it's cheaper. So I'm going to spend $300,000 to grab, I think I'm going to take this spot right here.
That's a good call. And you're still going to have enough money to be able to build a retail space in there.
That's right.
That's a good move, John. I approve of that move. We're going to go to our third action. You like
Dean
that?
approved.
And I'm going to spend $1.9 million.
Wow. I thought you said it 1 point. Oh, you could.
Chump change to me. And what I'm going to do is...
That's all your money.
Yeah. How do you know?
You have $100,000 left.
You think so?
You just said you had 1.7, then you took 300. I know simple maths.
Okay.
Unless you're lying. You are. This is a deception game.
I actually didn't say 1.7. So.
Oh, you should not? Whoops.
No.
Guess I wasn't listening.
And if I had 1.7 and I took $300,000 and I spent 1.9, that would
then you have 100,000 left.
Is that right?
That's what I said. 1.7 plus.
Oh, 1.7. Yes, I did. But I said 1.6. If that makes you feel better. Sorry. Yeah.
My bad.
Okay. So I'm going to buy an office building again. That's going to cost 1.9. If you'll put an office building in this little thing right here, I'll just put this. Whoops. It's got a little graphic on there to show you this land plot is built up.
Sweet minis for all the buildings.
There we go. And then I will put my little token. You can't see it from the top-down shot, but it's got a little slit in most of the buildings, all of them except the small homes, where you can just put your...
It makes you feel like you're accomplishing something.
It does. And it's a lot easier to look out on the board and see like that coming off the table. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And that's all I'm going to do. Nothing is going to happen out of that. I'm not going to get any money for it unless I can get some tenants in there.
So I have a decision whether I want to go ahead and start industry or whether I want to start retail. Retail, I have a better chance of just, I'm going to go industry. Let's just go ahead and do it. So industry's $1 million, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and spend $1 million. How about that, Dean?
$1 million.
To build an industry building right here. Pop this bad boy up in her. And there we go. I didn't put the thing in there.
Yeah, put that on there. It looks nicer. Now it's just, you just got this in an empty lot.
We need a parking lot for that so people can come to work. Because they had no place to park their cars before.
That's right. Okay, that is the third action. Now we go to the property market, and that's what this board is. And it's going to go, everything is laid out really clearly in this game. Even though the rules can be kind of, a lot, everything I think is laid out pretty well. So we're just going to kind of go down this list and do these different things that are going to change the land price, going to change the crash track. Although in the first round, and only in the first round, we're not going to draw any risk cards, and so we're not going to actually move down the crash track yet. So we're going to look at here and see the remaining tenants. At the beginning of the game, you have all of your 4 remaining tenants. If one of these was gone, that would mean we would have 3. either way, nothing is going to happen. No risk or cards are going to be drawn. Then you're going to look at the land price. It also doesn't matter, but this just refers to the zone that you're in. This one
We're in the safe zone.
That's right. So now the only thing that will change in this one... Oh, sorry. We also didn't spend any advertising tokens because we didn't have that... what is it? The attract tenants round yet, but we probably will the next round. So the only thing that's going to change is from this right here. As you sell properties, this can change from round to round. But right now, this just means that the price of the land.
The more you advertise, the more your value goes up. So it's more people competing. It's thematic.
The more that you sell, the more that is that what you're pointing to?
I mean, sell. Yeah, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the more. Yeah, everything is super thematic.
Said the wrong
for
thing.
Sure. Okay, so that is the entire round. We're going to play through another round because we want to show you actually how things play out. But that is the gist of how everything plays out. The attract tenants is really kind of the crux of the game besides the actions, and we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. So this passes over to John. John is going to start the bid.
I'm not going to bid anything.
All right, I will also pass.
Yeah. I don't think it's that necessary at the moment. Okay, so now that I have this building, I'm going to show you right here. I need to get 4 or better 4s. Now, in order to have a tenant that goes onto this industry. Now, that's affected by what's the lowest. This tells me how many dice I'm going to get to roll. In adjacent suburbs?
Neighboring,
yeah, because you have the city in the middle.
Around it.
All right. Well, let's look at the homes and let's look at the industry. So if you look at the industry, I have 3 tenants in this one, or I don't. There's 3 tenants in this, so that's a total of 6. There's also 3 here and 3 here for the homes. There's none in these neighborhoods. Neighboring neighborhoods. Right now. So the lowest is tied. It's 6 green, 6 yellow, 6 home, 6 industry. So I'm going to grab 6 die.
Okay.
6 dice.
I'm going to give you the worst ones, the ones that have the lowest numbers on there.
Now, as I mentioned before, I'm going to have to get 4 4s to put that one in here. Now, the thing about this industrial unit, I will say, is you can only hold one thing of the tenants. So, another thing that's really interesting is there's only one of these. So, if Dean had gone for industry, that's where the bidding would have really been interesting. Yeah. Super interesting at that point because we're both like dying to have this.
That's exactly
industry.
Right. Yeah.
So I just kind of want to work that out there. So,
actually, we didn't finish up that part of the round.
Shoot.
Sorry about that.
You're right.
That does change. So at the end of the round, we totally whiffed on this one. It's very clear on here. Just getting to talk too much. You're going to draw 2 of these new tenant cards. So we're going to get 2 new basic industry cards, which would help you if we had that.
Okay, so we wouldn't have had the battle.
And then 2 basic office. So that's actually really, really good draw.
2. Okay, so I'm also drawing 3 for sale signs. Now, if there's a place that comes out that says you can't, then it
goes out of the game.
Out of here, mister.
You don't replace it. So it's possible you actually wouldn't add any new for sale.
That's happened tokens. For sure.
Yeah.
All right, 3G. 3G. Kind of like old school mobile.
So some of these that would be for sale, but also if John would have paid double to buy a plot that he really wanted at the beginning of the game, then also if that token comes out later, it would just go out of the game. Will you hand me 2 new basic offices and 2 basic industries? So these tenant spots, that's actually really good. And it kind of, because the industries and the offices are going to have more population, and we'll explain why that's important in a little bit, but that's pretty huge.
So now before I roll, and hey, I guess whenever you go out and you do marketing, if I do, you build a building, it's a crapshoot if you're going to, you can do your best to get tenants, but sometimes they don't come. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, because I'm next to this, when I was showing you that I had to roll 4 4s, I actually have to roll 4 3s, because that means that I can do another pip. Now I can also give up 2 of these for free that I have here on this turn.
You can give up as many as you want.
But you have to pay money if you want to do more than that. You start the game.
No, that's not right. Not for giving them up. Sorry. When you're buying new ones, is that what you're saying? When you're buying new ones, you have to get that.
Did you tell me that wrong the other day?
No.
Excuse me,
no.
Meepletown.
You start off with 4.
So I don't have to give up. Okay.
You start off with 4 of these tokens. You can spend all of them if you want. If you didn't want to, yeah.
So I could just spend all of them, but I'm not. I'm going to spend 2. I'm just going to make sure I can get this because I need a money engine coming into the game right now, and to me it's worth it. So I need to roll 2 3s or higher. Should be easy, right? Wow, I did that. Nope. I could have
3. Yeah.
I could have just done 1, but that's okay. Yeah. Still worth it. I'm still happy with my move. So these bad boys are out of there, and I gain
110.
Da-da-da-da. And then at the end of this, I'm going to go ahead and get my monies. Is that okay?
Yeah, uh-huh.
I'm going to look at all my property that I have and gain the monies associated, so I get $600,000.
There we go. That's a nice little boost.
Not bad. Your turn.
All right, I do the exact same thing. Mine is a little bit different. Mine says that I have to roll and get 4 5s or better. So mine's exactly like his, except 1 pip higher. Because, mine is based on how many neighboring home type buildings, and so we have 6 population total in the neighboring area. So I'm rolling 6 dice just like John is. I think I'm also going to spend 2. I'm going to have to roll 4 or higher because I do have a bonus from that airport right there. It's a tough decision because if I whiff right here, it's going to cost me $600,000. $800,000. That's how much office buildings will give you. Oh boy. Do I want to risk it? I only need to roll 2 4s. That's it. I can do it, right? Boom, right there.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I got 3. Okay. Again, regardless of whether or not you use those.
Same exact thing.
And what John didn't do.
Oh, I didn't put them over there.
Sometimes we forget that, and then we eventually remember it. But those are going to go up here because that might change how things play out the next round. So I'm going to take an office building, which will give me $800,000. But it also, if I'm building things adjacent to it, it's going to give me bonuses potentially. So I'll get a retail and office bonus, which is really nice because I've got a retail bonus here and then a retail bonus here. So I could actually purchase this right here with the hopes of building retail and getting a lot of good stuff out there, which is kind of on my radar. Did you give me my money?
No, how much do you need?
$800
I wasn't paying
million.
No, you didn't.
800,000.
You're excited about getting a little bit more than me, aren't you?
Yes, because I already had less money than you. I spent a lot of money to get that office building out there.
Yep.
Okay, so that is the attract tenants. I hope that made sense. I think it's pretty clear once you kind of play through and understand that how those adjoining areas
work.
Not
bad at all. Okay, so here's some things. We're just going to play one round, right?
Yep.
I will show
play
them
this
sell.
round.
I'm not going to sell anything this round, but I'll show them at the end because that's important piece to when to sell and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to spend.
And land is $400,000. I don't know if I said that, but it's gone up $100,000.
Yeah, that's the challenge. Is like getting that land early. That's when I went ahead and snaked that up. Was to do that. I think I'm going to go ahead and spend. Yeah, 5.
You all right?
No, you know what I'm going to do? I can do that. Okay, that's what Daddy's going to do. I want to sell. I want to sell this industry right now.
Okay, that's not a bad move, is it?
No, because I could build a huge apartment right here. Is what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sell property right off the bat. Boom. My first building I build, my first industry, sell that sucker. It's cutthroat in the real estate business. I don't even care. Get that out of here.
Which can give you a huge boost right at the beginning. But it can give you a much bigger boost if you have it later on. So you have to kind of balance out what you want to do.
And So what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate a few things. And this is really well stated here on this player aid. You see that we look at the player aids because, hey, they're really well done. Yep. And you kind of need to. Like, it's hard to remember all this stuff, like exactly how much the things cost and stuff like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get 1 point value for the land. And you'll understand this second. 1 for the building, because I have a building on this land that I'm selling. 1 for each adjacent symbol that matches. That's going to go up, right? Or the cards or whatever, but we don't have any of those other ones out there. So that's 3 points. And then I have 1, 2, 3 population on this land. So that's a total of 6. Now, I would also lose a point if there was a down arrow that matched this. There's a down arrow for housing, but I didn't build housing there. I built industry. So I take 6 times 4. And what is that, Dean?
6 times 4 is 2.4.
$2.4 million.
Which, if you're like, I don't want to use a calculator, you can look on the back of this, and that will determine your plot sales, which is a lot to look at, but it actually is really helpful. You just look at the plot value.
But this could teach your children or whatever to learn how to math better.
Yeah, that's true.
Teaches them also how to go down.
You said 6 times 4, right?
I did.
All right. I want to make sure that I'm
going to cover this up, meaning that we won't draw a risk, but we'll go up 2 value next time.
So here's what that means right now. buy up land. You know, like this is where we really need to buy up land because it's going to start
This game
really
is
increasing
all
in
tactical.
price. Yeah, it really is. And so I'm glad I got a boost for money over here. Honestly, I'd like to buy up a couple plots, and if you're keeping up with how much money, now again, this is secret. I have $800,000. I'll go ahead and say it.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, because we're not playing through a full game. So in my mind, I'm thinking I probably need to just go ahead and make myself broke by buying 2 different plots at this point because it's already going to start shooting up pretty high. The other side of that, though, is I could buy 1 plot and put a house on there, which is going to give me a little income. Not a lot. Homes are going to give you $300,000 each round, but it's going to cost me a total of $800,000. So right now, what I'm going to do, I'll just go ahead and spend. If you give me $100,000 back, I'm just going to buy up a plot. I'll buy this spot right here. It's the only one that's adjacent to 2 separate areas, which could be beneficial. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. You just need to know what you want to build up. In this case, I'd like to build retail, and so that would help me.
Sure. I have exactly enough to do what I want to do. I'm going to go ahead and buy some property too, I think. Now, I don't know if Dean mentioned that I can take a turn to grab 2 more of these, which is interesting to me because, listen, now that I've sold this, that's $600,000 of income I don't have next round.
Yeah.
Now, I can supplement that if I can attract 2 more tenants over here. But if I can attract 3 more tenants, I'd have $900,000 and more than Dean because I don't think he's building again. Maybe he is going to do another building. He might build a house actually because you've only taken 2 actions. He's going to build a house. I know what he's going to do. Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I've got some thinking to do there.
But so that's an interesting call because this is going to cost, as Dean mentioned, it's only going to be $500,000 going up twice.
That's right.
At least
It stays $505,000.
it's actually going to go up another +1 there, so it will go up 3.
Oh, because we did do 4.
So that it's going to go up $600,000, which that's $200,000 difference. So I am going to. I'm not in love with these properties though. Actually, I'm going to do it. I'm going to spend $400, and I'm going to plop this down.
Is this your first action?
It's my second action.
Sorry, I didn't move that up.
I'm going to plop that down. Man, do I want to go shopping, or do I want to like the retail here? Actually, this is a good one. Never mind. I should have taken that earlier. I think. The other thing is like you have to, when you're picking land, and I'm not doing as good of a job as I normally probably would because I'm trying to talk this through. I should also be looking at how easy it is to attract tenants because of the neighborhoods and stuff like that. And I have been
and the available tenants at that too.
Yeah, but not as much as I probably should be.
Yeah. If these didn't come out, that could have made John's decision much easier. He would look at this maybe and say, I'm not going to build an office building. There's no tenants to go in there. Especially, it might not make a difference when you're building the smaller buildings because they can't fit as many tenants. When you start building those bigger buildings, you really have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I'm kind of at a crossroads. I'm at a crossroads here because I did want that spot that John just bought. This is also not a bad spot.
Dean loves those offices. He likes going big.
I do. It does not pay off for me. It did not the last game. Yep, I'm just going to buy up. I'm going to buy some stuff up here. So I'm going to spend $400,000. It means I'm not going to have any more income this next round, and that's unfortunate. But I just feel like land is going to rise, get as much as you can right now. So that's our second action. Okay. Go on to the third action.
I'm going to spend $3 million, right? Yep, just want to make sure. To build an apartment complex. Which hopefully will... look at that high rise. So hey, I'm going big, baby. I just like the satisfaction of building a big old daddy. You're a little concerned already.
A little, yeah. I would say so because I'm looking at my wallet and it is empty. And so you're building up giant buildings, getting lots of tenants in there. You're going to be getting lots of money, John.
I don't think I paid for that slot over there. I didn't. So if you were watching the replay, there it is.
I don't think you have enough money for this then.
I did.
Okay.
I had exactly the first 2
$3
turns.
million? Is that how much that? Oh, because you sold your property. So you only have 1 property
million.
out there.
That's not that bad.
Okay. And in order for you to match what I have out there,
I've got to roll.
You're going to have to get 3 tenants in that.
And there's only 4 out. There's 4 out there, but it can hold 5.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So it can be really valuable, but it's just it takes some time to build that up. So.
That's right. So I don't feel as bad. I'm good with where I'm at, especially because The next round, now that I've got some properties, I can start building up. Yeah. For my last action, I'm just going to take the $400,000. Okay. Now, another option, we didn't mention this, and this is where...
I just talked about that for like a minute.
The advertising token?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was paying attention to what I was doing.
I was talking about how it could be...
I was so flustered at how you messed up the rule earlier. So.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I could have swore that's what happened. I mean, I didn't... The reason I don't know is because I've never wanted to spend more than 2 at a time.
Yeah.
I just haven't wanted to.
And
Maybe I should.
John lives on the edge in this game. Having advertising tokens is
that's the
really
problem is
important.
I don't have as many.
Yeah. You just kind of go for it.
I kind of play risky. I'd rather roll it than spend the advertisement. Okay.
Good for you. All right. No, really good for you. I think that it plays off in this game, potentially. All right, we go to the property market. Nothing's going to change here again because we still have all the different types of tenants. The land price is still in the green area, so nothing's going to happen here. This is where things change a little bit because we do have 4 of the advertising tokens in here from this round. So they're going to go out.
Did cause some people to come to our burbs.
It did. It worked. Advertising works, apparently. And then the next thing is the plot sold. So since John sold the plot, he'll get his token back, but then we're not before we move up, boom, to 600,000.
But
land prices are going up high.
That's right. And then we would draw the 3.
That's right. Draw a new tenant. So we're going to get another basic office space. And then 2, this is good for John, we're going to get 2 basic homes. Oops. And so he's going to have lots of opportunities to get
that's good. Yeah, you kind of take a risk on some of that too, don't you?
Yeah.
Of it coming out and not coming out. But anyway, I think that's good, right?
Yeah. So I guess we don't need to put those tokens out there, but that's what would happen.
Just because it was just feels satisfying.
Oh, I meant these tokens, sorry, because I can't. They're too far.
Okay.
All right, just to kind of explain how a few things work. We mentioned this at the beginning, but as the crash track goes down, then the game is going to come to an end. But let's say we've got property up at like 1.5 million. And then right here, and the crash happens, and we've got all these...
Explain how the crash happens.
That's what I'm going to do. So as you're drawing these cards, you've got these numbers on here for the crash track, and that's going to move everything down. Those are going to get drawn sometimes pretty rapidly. It depends on how you're playing for that round. Yeah. But once the crash does happen, you're going to look at all the cards that were discarded, and they have this post-crash price drop on there. You're going to add up all these numbers together and then move back
significantly far down.
So you can actually go from 1.5 all the way down to 100,000, and then you can sell all your properties off at the end of the game for that post-crash price, which is, maybe not even a tenth of what the price was before. So you really have to kind of gauge that and prep yourself. You might think, man, the crash could happen this time, but it might not.
Yeah.
I better go ahead and at least sell some property so I'm making a lot of it could be the difference of like $14 million compared to not even $1 million potentially.
There you go.
Make sense?
Are any components?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. We can explain everything, right?
Yep.
All right, art and components.
You want to go first? You want me to go?
Look at these minis.
You're loving
That's
it.
what the eyes go to.
No, it's
You're looking
really,
at this
really
board,
good.
you see the skyline out there. It's pretty, isn't it?
That's right. That's
pretty.
exactly right.
Hey, you might look at this and say, oh, paper money. I don't want to have anything to do with that.
It's fine.
You have to have it in this game. I really think that.
Because of this?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to keep it hidden. You could have screens and money behind it.
But I prefer this. I like having the wallet and taking money out of your wallet. I know that might sound silly, especially if you absolutely hate paper money. I think it feels good. Like, I think it is the right choice in this game. Do you think that?
I think to each his own.
What do you think?
I don't love paper money because it can get messed up.
Mm-hmm.
So I would actually... Of course, I also don't like big screens that are blocking my view. So I don't know.
It's a big board, and so if you put screens out there...
I'm not James Naylor. I don't have to make this decision.
You're right. It is going to be your choice. And I would say most people would say, oh, no to paper money always. For me, I just really think it works for this game. From somebody who really doesn't care for paper money in other games. Like Power Grid, get that money out of my face.
Do you feel like you're pulling your wallet out?
Yeah, I really do. I really do. And it's like, let me write my check.
I don't mind it. Honestly, I don't mind it. The minis are great. I love how these things fit on, like the little cardboard pieces fit on top of there. It makes you feel like you're kind of a real estate tycoon. Like the components make you feel... It makes it feel thematic, in my opinion. It helps to make it feel thematic.
You got small dice, which some people might not like that either. But there's, you might be rolling 12 dice sometimes. I would say my biggest negative.
Those are just little cardboard pieces for all the stuff that we have, but a nice tray that keeps it all organized.
And I have the box is gigantic, which can be a negative to person. It's
really big.
The storage is really well done inside of it, though. Yeah.
So relative. But it's a beautiful box.
It is.
I actually really do like the art.
When I get tired, sometimes during the day, I take a nap inside the box. It's
you know how many people are going to take pictures of their cats inside that box?
Multiple cats. Tigers, even. All right. My negative, I would say...
That's a pet peeve of mine.
My biggest negative.
I don't like it.
Cats?
I don't like people, like 1,000 pictures on Twitter and stuff of people putting their cats in boxes.
What do you think about...
I'm alienating people right now.
Isle of Cats has like a target for your cat to sit in. You know, like
That's acceptable.
What?
That's a brilliant marketing strategy.
No, it is. I'm with you, but
the rest is like...
why is the other not acceptable for you?
I don't really like cats that much. I don't hate them. It's just like they're not my jam. I know. I'm sorry, y'all.
Other than the size of the box, which again is a negative because it's gigantic, I would say these tiles, they're pretty thin, and it's not that big of a deal. And they're the same. These are thin too, but it doesn't bother me as much as these for some reason. But the thing about thin tiles is it fits better on there. If you have thicker tiles, sometimes they're going to be like spinning around. Yeah. So I guess that's a negative. I'm fine with it. Overall, I'm a fan of the components.
Yeah, I think they're really good. I like how this kind of has a little window there and all that. This little crash token's pretty sweet looking.
Yeah. You got the pictures of the highest
really
backers for the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That are on the money, which I think that's a cool idea. I like that. Except for the designer put a picture of his mother on as the $5 million.
Oh, but I didn't show the $5 million. Oh,
banknote.
Anyway, yeah, but overall, it's all really good. What do you think about that first player thing?
Not my favorite. it is what it is. I think it's really cool looking, but I don't need that. You know what I mean? But it's pretty cool.
Like you can play with it.
We didn't even do that. We could have been tearing buildings down and stuff. Oh, you did?
And you got mad at me.
Oh. That sounds,
oh my gosh.
That sounds like me, actually.
Do you just like not pay attention to what I'm doing ever when playing games on there?
Hey, mister, you have to spend money to use these advertising tokens. Okay.
What are you talking about?
Gameplay. What about the gameplay? Let me start this off by saying that this game comes with a tutorial deck. Okay? Tutorial deck. This thing is 78 cards long, and most of the cards have text like this on it. Now, some of those cards in there are the player aid stuff that you end up using in the game, even if you don't use the tutorial deck. So I remember when I get this game, I'm going through the tutorial deck by myself just so I can learn the rules to teach John. And I text John, hey John, this thing is 78 cards long. You know what? I think it was really helpful. I think
really
going through this deck was super helpful because some of the rules, especially like, okay, hindsight, I could have easily read the rule book. We play a lot of games, and overall, I think it's clear enough to just read the rule book. I think the rule book's fine. But for somebody who's not played a lot of games like this can be really daunting. And having that tutorial deck, I think it was really well done. It tells you exactly what to do. It keeps up with everything for you, and like it knows what your moves are going to be. I kind of like it. Oath does the same thing, but I think this does it. I think this does it better than Oath because it's more thorough in the teaching. I don't know if I would want to sit down with 5 players and use that. But sitting down by myself and going through it was helpful.
I'll say this. Don't let that scare you in the sense of, or excite you, either way, in the sense of how heavy this game is.
Yeah.
Because this game, I would weight it around a 3. Wouldn't you, Dean? Like, I don't think it's really that complicated. Yes, you do have to you need player aids to help you, to remember the points and the different things like that for how to sell your buildings. But everything is well laid out. I don't think it's that heavy of a game.
It's going to feel like a 4 or higher your first time playing. Your first couple rounds. I really think because of like...
Maybe because you so well explained it, Dean.
I mean, seriously. But how many questions did you have throughout the first several rounds of, okay, so how do I sell this? How do I buy this? Like, what does it mean to get tenants and how do
I did ask those questions.
But you're absolutely right, where everything's laid out really well with the player aids, and once you've played through each phase of the game...
after I did it one time, it was like, okay.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I still think it's higher than a 3, but I don't think it's as high as a 4. I don't think, maybe not even a 3.5, but I think it's above a 3, I would say.
I put it at a 3.
There we go.
You put it a little above.
All right.
Dean, John. Okay.
You like heavier games than I do, so that would make sense.
That makes sense. All right, so some things I like about the game, in addition... Well, I didn't say anything yet. So I like the idea of those really tough decisions on, do I buy the property? You heard it at the end of last turn, right? Do I buy plots of land, or do I go ahead and build things? If I go ahead and build things, then I can have a chance to get tenants. But if I get the tenants, okay, yeah, I can get the tenants and maybe make another $300,000. But hey, if this goes up $300,000, it's kind of a wash. Plus, I could potentially get the property that I want more, which would be more advantageous, right, for the future. So I like that. Also really like the way that when you're rolling for tenants, even though I don't love that, I don't hate it. I don't know how I feel about it. It makes sense. I'm fine with it. Whatever.
I like it.
Yeah.
But I also don't mind rolling dice.
I don't love rolling dice, but in this
it makes a lot of sense.
You can have these mitigation things, and like I'll have to say that I don't think I hardly ever. One time did I have where I just whiffed on a roll. Like most of the time I can mitigate it enough, or I mean it would really stink if I needed to, and I rolled 8 dice and one of them was above 4 or something like that. But putting it next to these things helps mitigate those dice rolls. Also, again, like when you're looking at. It's just interesting. I'm just going to pull this up one more time to show you, like, when you're building homes, it matters what the least amount of offices and shops are. When you're building, offices or shops, it's the least amount of homes. You know what I mean? So, like, what's interesting is that those are interesting.
Not the least amount of homes. How many homes?
Yeah, how many? Yeah. How many population?
Yeah.
It's the one that has the least is what I was trying to say, like, between the homes and whatever. And I think that's really cool because it leads to a lot of interesting decisions when it's based on where to get property and different things. And later on in the game, like you can see here, like these offices are going to help you. It's going to actually add like the plus ticks to the shops and to the things. So as Dean's building more and more offices, and maybe he's going to help himself build shops next to them, which should be really good. And I think that's really smart.
Yeah. Yeah, so here's why I think the dice rolling part is cool, and I think it's the good design decision. It's because it's thematic, and this game is super thematic. It's my favorite thing about this game, I think, is how thematic it is. Because you can build a building, and you're right. Hey, I'm putting this in the right location. I'm going to get a boost because it's in the right place. But you know what? If nobody knows about your building, then they're not going to want to go to it. And so you're going to need to advertise. And you can't just throw your building up and kind of hope for the best. And if there's enough tenants in the area and enough population, then hey, they might just discover your spot. But
sure.
But advertising is always going to help you out.
I agree. That's why I'm okay with it.
And I think it's cool. And I there's so many pieces like that I love the theme of how this works out. Like if I do want to build a retail space, I need to make sure there's a lot of population in the neighboring areas so that I have a better chance of being able to get more tenants in that building. All of those things I think are really cool. The design decisions, at first might seem a little tedious because of like how you sell properties is, you might look at this chart and think, oh my goodness, like I have to look at this and figure out how much it sells for. It's not daunting at all. Once you play through it, once you understand how each of those things works, I think it all just flows really well together.
I think so. And to go along the lines of thematic, like the way that you saw the land prices go up as we sell property faster, the way that they can go up when you're spending more advertising, more people are flocking to it, the way that as you build, there's risks that are involved. As there's more buildings being built, if the population is not rising, what happens in real estate? It's a bigger risk. Yeah. And so at some point, yes, the bubbles could pop. And I think I think it's really intriguing. It's one of the most thematic buy low, sell high games I've played. One of them, maybe the most.
I think it might be the most.
Not that it's my favorite, but I'm just saying, like thematic wise, it is extremely thematic. Yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I do want to make mention and ask you, how do you feel about the crash? Because here's the thing: some people I think are going to love it, and some people might not love it. What's going to happen is at the end of the game, you're basically going to be guessing when the crash is going to happen. Now, yes, you can make it happen, which is actually really, really cool. But you're going to be guessing as the game progresses towards the end because you are going to sell your stuff significantly less.
You can kind of make it happen. You can predict it. And that's
right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you could be the one that makes it happen for sure, depending on how the game plays out. But if you don't predict it right, you could play a phenomenal game and lose miserably. But the positive side is you could be losing, and then you do the crash right, and it helps you. Because in a game like this, you absolutely could have kind of runaway leader problems because you're just making more money, and doing those kind of things. I wouldn't say that I've ever felt like that because the game is not long enough.
Yeah, I haven't felt that way.
Yeah, because usually that happens, and I don't like it when games are like 2.5, 3 hours long. But for a game that can be an hour, hour and a half, It can be more than that. I think the box was like, 60 to 120 minutes, maybe? I could be wrong.
That's right. Which I think is probably pretty accurate, but it depends on when that crash happens.
That's right.
That can make a big difference.
That's right. And so, I'm okay with that, but I wanted to point that out because I didn't know if some people could get frustrated. Like, wow, I was just whipping Dean and, I just screwed up the crash at the end by one building. And he got an extra $1.2 and I lost because of that.
Which is something that I love.
You love it.
It's another piece that I absolutely love about this game because, again, it's thematic. You take risk in this game. You take risk in advertising. You take risk in buying certain properties or not buying them, hoping that somebody else doesn't buy them. Like, there's that aspect of risk. There's the aspect of risk, which I think is the biggest one, is when to sell my properties before the crash happens.
Big time decision.
Because you don't want to get stuck with selling it at $100,000 versus, millions of dollars that you could sell for. I love all that because it
millions
feels...
times millions.
Yes.
Because if it's, just to show you, like if it's up here at like 1.7 million and you saw that I had, a 6 multiplier times 1.7 million and then it goes down to 300,000, you could lose the game because of not predicting one building right. That's why I said some people might get frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, I should have sold 1 2 rounds ago so I could sell 3 the next round.
Yeah.
And had 4 buildings sold. But because I didn't predict it right, one of my buildings didn't. Dean predicted his right. He won the game because of that one decision.
And you might think like, okay, I'm going to hold off to that last round so that I can sell all my buildings off.
You only have 3 moves.
You only have 3 actions, and so you're going to have to think forward ahead. And you might think, okay, I've got a plot. Like, I might have these plots at the end of the game that I haven't put anything on. What a waste that is. But you can at least sell them back for whatever this land price was, so you're not going to lose a ton off of that. But what I'm saying is, building up a ton of buildings might not be the way to go because you need to be able to sell those off at some point, unless they're just going to make you a ton of money throughout the game. But for the most part, they're not going to make you as much as what they will for selling them for a lot of money.
It's super tactical.
Yeah.
When to buy, when to sell, when to spend your advertising to get tenants to come to the thing. That's the whole game. And it's
big risk,
really
big reward in this game for sure. All right, you ready for final thoughts? Yeah.
Let me go first?
You go ahead.
Okay, like I said, I love the tactical nature of the game. I really enjoy that. Man, should I buy that land now or go ahead and attract tenants now? And I'm calculating in my mind, okay, well, this is worth this much. All that kind of stuff is actually really fun. I agree with Dean. Ultra thematic. Like, if you're into real estate at all or, like, have that idea of, like, wanting to build city and sell property, or not building city, sell property, buy property, all that stuff. It feels like you're doing that with the crash track, the bubble getting close to bursting and all that. Like, it feels like that in this game. I also like how it's not overly heavy. Like, I think again, I weighted around a 3, and so like it's not super heavy, and yet it has great decisions. So I was very surprised by this game. I'm going to say this. This may be one of the best games you don't know about. Like, straight up. I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10, and a strong 7.5, which... no, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. No, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because I would suggest this game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a reluctant 8 out of 10. Anyways, it just doesn't matter because I would suggest it because if I want to play with people that don't want an ultra heavy, Lacerda where you're doing this economic thing and there's a lot of things going on, but you do want to have some feels like that. Plus, I think that you can draw people into the hobby. You can easier, usually with thematic games, and this could draw someone that's played Acquire, or something like that kind of has some of those feels. That's really simple, but let's crank this up a notch and make those decisions. So yeah, I'm gonna give this 8 out of 10. This is like, I think there were 73 ratings on BGG.
Yeah, like this one I don't think is out for release yet
because it was Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter didn't do bad, but like I think this is going to be one of those ones that if you don't like economic games, you're not going to like this. If you like economic games and you want something that's not ultra heavy, but like kind of maybe perfect in that medium weight wheelhouse, really thematic, I mean, you have to check this game out. It's solid.
There is no, you nailed it. There is no more thematic game of this type that I've played out there. And there's what are there? There's Monopoly, there's Acquire, there's Suburbia, which is one of my favorite games too.
Yeah.
This is more thematic, and every piece of it is just so well thought out.
You like this better than Suburbia?
I don't know. I got to think through this. I'm not quite there yet. They're actually maybe they're really close. And Suburbia was a really.
I'm looking forward to hearing what your score is.
Is a really high game for me. I love Suburbia. I just think everything was so well done in this game. Initially, when I started playing this, I was like, I don't really know how I'm really going to like this. I felt the
same way.
Because I really thought, I thought this is probably going to be on the higher end of the weight limit that I like. And then I thought, the game time could take a really long time. But it doesn't always. The game time doesn't have to last that long. It really just depends on how the risk cards are coming out and how the game is playing out. I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10. And
that's incredible because, honestly, before we started playing this, he was already thinking, he was excited to try it, but this is going to be John's game. I'll trade him for this, or we'll trade some games around. But he's like, he was looking forward to it. But for you to like it more than me, I bet that's a stunner.
It is. It absolutely is. There's the more
it's not as heavy as you thought it is.
No, it's not. And the more we played it, I was like, wow, I love that decision. I love how the boards change out. Sorry, I didn't mention this. You've got multiple boards that we don't even have in the game. This is all going to change from game to game, what you're drawing out. So the replayability is pretty really high in this game, and depending on what happens in the board. And the bidding for turn order is huge in this game because you want to claim the best spots. Yeah. You also want to get the tenants before other people do. What a great mechanic that is. There's so much to love about this game.
Really
I'm with you. I think this is... It may be the best game that people don't know about. I think it's a great game.
That's right. My really only negative is the game length can, if you're drawing a lot of crash track zeros, get a little long in the tooth.
It can.
We had that happen one game where how many did we 4 zeros in a row or something? Now what are the odds of that happening?
It may have been more than that.
The odds of that happening are not super strong, but you've got to get it to go down 10 spots. So I like the idea of how it is different though, in the sense of a lot of times I like to predict how long games are. I do kind of like how it's thematic in the sense of, wow, if you're drawing a lot of those, oh my gosh, the game's over after an hour. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it can get a little long in the tooth. You're doing a lot of the same kind of stuff, and I'm like, I'm ready for this to be over.
There's also this. You could, if you really wanted to, you could change this up however you want. The bad thing is, if the game lasts long, it probably means the crash is going to be that much harder. Yeah. Because the crash, if you move 0 on the crash track, it's going to be 2s and 3s that you're having to move down. So by the end of the game, you're like, oh boy, this is going to be. Crash really hard.
In the game that we played that happened, it was worth $100,000 at the end. We had a ton of crash cards and went.
I do want to mention one more thing real fast. There is an advanced variant of this. Now, we have not played with the advanced variant, but you have these different sides to them. So the industry, you've got small factories and other things. That's the only one I have here. With the retail, you got boutiques and restaurants and different things, and that changes up the gameplay. Specifically, it changes up the symbols, so as you're building adjacent spots to that. That's really going to come into play, especially in a higher player count, because those adjacency rules become very, very important at that point.
Agreed.
Love this game. It's an 8.5 from me, 8 from John. Tell people how they can get in touch with us.
If you're enjoying our channel, we would love for you to subscribe to it. If you'd like to support what we're doing, go to patreon.com/MeepleTown. We're at Meepletown Games on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we're Board Game Geek Guild 3407.
Thanks for coming down to Meepletown. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to our Patreon supporters for making content like this possible. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, go to patreon.com/Meepletown. To follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, find us at Meepletown Games. Finally, to connect with us and other residents of Meepletown, you can join Guild 3407 at BoardGameGeek.com. Until next time, thanks for coming down to Meepletown.